Today, we are learning how to multiply decimals. So everything we did yesterday on adding and subtracting, that is for adding and subtracting. Multiplying is different, okay? So a lot of times what I'll notice is students will confuse the rules with adding, subtracting to multiplying. The thing that I want you to do with multiplying is to line up the problem vertically. Line up the problem vertically. You do not have to line up the decimals. We do not line up the decimals. When you're multiplying with decimals, you do not have to line them up. What you want to make sure you're lining up are the digits. Okay, you're going to completely ignore the decimal in the very beginning. So you're lining up the problem vertically. Then you're going to multiply the factors as if they were whole numbers because you're ignoring that decimal. So you're just going to multiply your numbers like you normally would, ignoring the decimal completely. Once you get your answer and you add your partial products or whatever you need to do, and you have your answer, this is where the decimal comes back in. You're going to count the total number of decimal places in both factors. And then the last step is you place a decimal point in the same number of places in the product. You're going to see what this looks like, and we're going to do several examples together so that it really kind of sinks in and makes sense. So let's look in this box. We're going to copy down this problem. So I'm going to give you 35 7/10 times 63 hundredths. What I'm not going to do is line up the decimals. I'm actually going to do 0.63 hundredths. Notice how I line up my digits, not my decimals. Okay. If I line up my decimals, there's nothing wrong with that. You'll be plugging in zero the heroes and you'll have extra multiplication that you need to do, which is kind of not necessary. So if you just line up your digits, you're eliminating a couple extra steps.
But then where do you put the decimal?
At the very end. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore those decimals for a minute. I'm just going to multiply these numbers like it's 357 times 63. Okay, I'm just going to multiply like I normally would. So I'm going to start with my 3, and this is where I'm going to go through and I'm going to color code. So if you're still shaky on multi-digit multiplication, pay close attention. Okay, I'm starting with my 3 here. 3 times 7 is 21, and I carry the 2. Then I'm doing 3 times 5, which is 15, plus the 2, which is 17. Carry the 1. Then 3 times 3 plus the 1 is going to be 10. Okay, that's my first partial product. My next partial product, this part is important. I mark out the number that I just multiplied across all of the top digits, and then I put the placeholder 0 right underneath it in my second row. That is the part most students forget to do, is that placeholder 0. Really important. Now I'm going to multiply my 6. So 6 times the 7, 42, carry my 4. Then 6 times 5 is 30, plus the 4, which is 34. And then 6 times the 3, which is 18, plus the 3 that I carried, which makes 21. Okay, now I'm done with that, and I don't need to do a whole row of zeros because what do I know to be true about 0 times anything? 0. So if I did multiply this 0 up times all of the numbers, I would have to do 2 placeholders because I would mark out that tenths, that second digit there, and then I would just have 0, 0, 0. Okay, so it's kind of unnecessary. You don't have to have that step. It's just an unnecessary row. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add these together, and I end up with 1, 9, 4, 2, and 2. Okay, this is the important part. This is the part where I want to make sure I am accounting for all of my decimal digits. Step 3 says count the total number of decimal places in both factors. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 decimal places. Everybody with me? Okay. I have 3 decimal places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information. I'm going to start at the end of my number. My decimal always starts at the end of a number. And I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3 places in my product. So my final answer is going to be 22. Oops. And 491 thousandths. Okay, that's where the decimal comes back into play. So you count how many decimal numbers there are. That's how many places you move the decimal. Where will I always start my decimal? At the end. At the end, and move it back. Okay. Let's do number 1. Oh, wait, I only have 4. Okay. Let's have yellow and blue table. Y'all are going to do number 4. Not together, just with your tables. Okay, you can work together with your tables, but y'all are both doing number 4. Purple table, y'all are going to solve number 3. Peach table, y'all are going to solve number 2. Mint table, y'all are going to solve number 1. Then I'll have somebody go up and work them. Okay, so we have now gone over all of the problems from here. We've seen them worked out. Everybody got to work out a part of it that wanted to. And we have all of our answers. We understand that we're moving that decimal in our answer, the number of places that are in our factors, okay, decimal places. Over here, when we model what that looks like, because modeling, remember, decimals and fractions are really the same amount. It's just one looks like a fraction, one looks like a decimal, but it's representing equal amounts. So it's going to look similar to when we multiplied fractions together. So what I want to do first is I'm going to first switch to my highlighter so that y'all can see better. I'm going to represent what 2/10 would look like. So on number 1, I'm going to show 2/10. Do you think it matters if I go horizontal or vertical? No. It does not matter. So I'm just going to, let me make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to do 2 going horizontal. So you're going to shade. Now remember what I taught you was shading with one color. You can draw lines that go one direction. Okay, then I'm going to shade 1/10 going the other direction. So that's going to be the vertical piece here. Then what I'm looking at is the total pieces that are double shaded. And that's going to be these little purple ones up here in the corner. So my answer is going to end up being 0.02. It's 2/100ths for my final answer. Yes. Yep. Okay, this time I'm not going to use color. I'm going to shade like how I showed you if you're ever without like a highlighter or color pencils. So number 2, I'm going to shade 9/10 first. You're doing it with me. Okay. So I'm going to go 9 pieces. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Okay, so I made all of my marks going one direction to show 9/10. Then I'm going to go another direction to show 6/10. So now I'm going to shade my vertical pieces. So I've got 3/10, and now another one of those makes 6/10 total. So this is my 6/10, and over here is my, just so that everybody understands, that's my 9/10. Okay, the piece that I'm looking at is where it crisscrosses in the entire thing, which is this section here. And how many hundredths is that? How many? 54. It's 54 hundredths. So if I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across, 9 down, 9 times 6 is 54. So that's 54 hundredths. Okay, I'm going to have you and your tables work together to finish out those last 4. We'll check them, what they should look like. If you want to do it by yourself and then check, that's fine. But stay focused, please, because we do have a practice page today. Okay, here's 4 and 5, so that you can check 4 and 5. That's about what yours should look like. And then go ahead and finish out 7 and 8 if you're still working, and then we'll check it in a second.